Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Harinam Sankirtan ki jai Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada की जय निताई गौर प्रेमानंद हरि हरि बोल ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयामुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्ति भवति नैष्ठकी श्रीकृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपाकुमाराय Govindaya Namo Namah. Hare Krishna. We welcome you, all the devotees, for our this Saturday morning Bhagavatam class, and we'll be reading from third canto, chapter number 32, and verse number 20, verse number 7. Entanglement in fruitive activities. So, before starting today's verse, I would like to thank the senior devotees. They have given me this opportunity, then learn this one shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam, and I can apply that one shloka in my own personal life. We, when we get an opportunity to understand any shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavad Gita, there is a difference between reading and understanding something. We will read something just to acquire some knowledge, and we understand something to do the practical implementation in our own personal life. So my humble gratitude to all the senior Vaishnavas in Kanakanga Yatra, those has given me this opportunity that I can understand this shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam, and I can apply the teaching of the shloka in my own personal life. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Although I am not qualified to speak something from Srimad Bhagavatam, but for my own purification, I would like to present today's shloka based on the Guru Sishya Parampara and the teaching of Srila Prabhupada, as well as the teaching of our all senior Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna. So we'll be reading from the third canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter number 32 and shloka number 7. Surya Dvarena Te Yanti Purusham Vishwata Mukham Par Avra Isham Prakartim Asya Utpatti Antbhavanam Suryadvareణ te yanti Purusham Vishwato Mukham Paravareshvam Prakritim Asya Utpatti Antbhavanam Suryadvareణ te yanti Purusham Vishwato Mukham Paravaresham Prakritim Asya Utpatti Antbhavanam Suryadvareణ te yanti Purusham Vishwato Mukham Paravaresham Prakritim Asya Utpatti Antbhavanam. Any devotee would like to recite today's verse?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Suryadvareణ te yanti purusham vishvato mukham paravaresham prakritim asyotipatti antabhavanam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Suryadvareణ te yanti Purusham Vishwato Mukham Paravareshvam Prakritim Asya Utpatti Antbhavanam. Any Mataji would like to recite the shloka?
Krishna Prabhu, Sri Kumar Prabhu also on.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Suryadvarena te yanti Purusham Vishwado Mukham Paravaresham Pragride Asyotpantyanda Bhavanam.
Suryadvareణ te yanti Purusham Vishwata Mukham Paravareshvam Prakritim Asya Utpattim Antbhavanam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
No other Prabhuji want to recite? May I recite? Any
Yes,
Prabhuji
Prabhu.
want to recite?
Yes, Prabhu.
Sri Prabhu, anyone?
Okay, Prabhuji, can you recite, Prabhuji?
No, please recite.
Yes,
Yes.
Prabhuji.
Suryadvareణ te yanti Purusham Vishwato Mukham Paravaresham Prakartim Asya Utpatti Antbhavanam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Suryadvareణ te yanti Purusham Vishwato Mukham Paravaram Ishvam Prakritim Asya Utpatti Antbhavanam. Hare Krishna. We can read the synonyms.
Yes, you did not.
Suryadvareణ.
Hare Krishna, Kanakanga Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Did not give chance to Mataji's.
I asked Prabhuji. Mataji can recite the verse. Mataji can recite the verse, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Suryadvareణ te yanti Purusham Vishwato Mukham Paravaresham Prakritim Asyotpatiyanta Bhavanam.
Suryadvareణ te yanti Purusham Vishwato Mukham Paravareshvam Prakritim Asya Utpatti Antbhavanam. Any other Mataji would like to recite?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Suryadhareణ yavanti purusham vishwato mukham paravaresham prakritim asyotpatti tata bhavanam.
Suryadvareణ te yanti Purusham Vishwato Mukham Paravareshvam Prakritim Asya Utpatti Antbhavanam. We can read the synonyms if nobody want to recite further. Synonyms. Surya Dwarena, through the path of illumination. They, Yanti, approach. Purusham, the personality of Godhead. Vishwata Mukham, those whose face is turned everywhere. Para Avara Isham, proprietor of the spiritual and the material world. Prakartim, the material cause. Asya, of the world. Utpatti, of manifestation. Anta, of dissolution. Bhavanam, the cause. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. Abhay Charnaravind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The translation. Through the path of illumination, such liberated person approached the complete personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of the material and the spiritual world, and is the cause of manifestation and dissolution. Translation by repetitions. Through the path of illumination,
Through the path of illumination,
such liberated persons approach the complete personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of the material and spiritual worlds, and is the supreme cause of their manifestations and dissolutions. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So the word Surya Dwarena means the illuminated path, or through the sun planet. The illuminated path is devotional service. It is advised in the Vedas not to pass through the darkness, but to pass through the sun planet. It is also recommended here that by traversing the illuminated path, one can be freed from the contamination of the material modes of nature. By the path, one can enter into the kingdom where the complete perfect personality of Godhead resides. The word Purusham Vishwato Mukham means the supreme personality of Godhead, who is all perfect. All living entities other than the supreme personality of Godhead are very small, although they may be big by our calculation. Everyone is infinitesimal, and therefore in the Vedas the supreme Lord is called the supreme eternal amongst all the eternals. He is the proprietor of the material and spiritual world and the supreme cause of the manifestations. Material nature is the only the ingredients, because actually the manifestation is caused by his energy. The material energy is also his energy, just as the combination of a father and mother is the cause of a child. So the combination of the material energy and the glance of the supreme personality of Godhead is the cause of manifestation of the material world. The efficient cause, therefore, is not matter, but the Lord Himself. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitam Cha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarobhishta Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayati Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauri Tushe Nama Vancha Kalpatarubhishta Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swami Iti Namne Ramacharya Nitai Kripa Pradayati Gaurkata Damadaya Nagargaram Hari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So we'll be discussing from third canto, 32 chapter and verse number 7. Surya dvare te yanti purusham vishwato mukham para avra isham prakritim asya utpatti ante bhavanam. So before coming to the today's verse, we can just give a recap till now what we have studied in this chapter, and then we'll come for the today's verse. So in this chapter number 32, Lord Kapila is explaining how the living entity is entangled in this, in the fruits of fruitive activity. And in chapter number 2 and 3 in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna has explained very nicely that what happens a person when he entangled into the fruitive activities, what he gets out of it. But in this section of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Kapila is explaining more specifically in details about that kind of person. What happens to the person when they entangled into the sinful activities or when they participate into the sinful activities, and what the results come out of it, that we discussed in our chapter number 31 in the third canto. Previous chapter we have discussed that how people participate into sinful activities and then what results come out of it. And in this chapter number 32, Lord Kapila is explaining what happens to those people who perform their prescribed duties and what happens after that. That is what we are studying in this current chapter. So Lord Kapila begins this chapter with the two beautiful terms, and these two beautiful terms are Grahamedi and Grahastha. So he explained about the person who is a Grahamedi, who lives his householder life and performs dharma. So the Grahamedi, when he performs his dharma or he performs the dharmic activities, he has only two mottos. The Grahamedi has two mottos of his life, and these two mottos of his life are Artha and Kama. He is not interested into the process of bhakti. So the Grahamedi, he will perform his all the kind of dharmic activities. What he does, he will perform some kind of activity based on the Karma Kanda section to get Artha and Kama, to increase his Artha, to increase his economy, and to fulfill his Kama, his desires. And the Grahamedi, not only in this lifetime, is continuously repeating the same process life after life. And in this way, he is completely entangled into the cycle of death and birth. So, such type of person who is a Grahamedhi, he may declares that I am doing this religious activity, I am doing that religious activities. I do whatever the Dharma Shastra says. These are the words of a person of a Grahamedhi, to increase his Artha and to fulfill his Kama. And for that, what they will do? They will try to worship the demigods. Such persons, they will go to the demigods, they will go to the Pitras, they will go and they will perform their rituals very nicely there. And why they perform their rituals nicely to the demigods, to their pitras, and so that they can fulfill their artha and they can fulfill their kama. But what they don't understand, what results come out of it. When they go to the demigod, they worship the demigod. They go to the pitras and they worship the pitras. They get a material results. That is not a spiritual results actually. So such people, those are worshipping the demigods, those are worshipping the pitras. They may promote to the Chandraloka maximum. They cannot go beyond than that. And they are eligible to get a Somarasa. But what happens? After that, there is a chance to come back to this earth. So what we understood here is that when the people in this Kali Yuga, they are trying to run behind to accumulate more and more economic benefits or to increase their artha and to fulfill their kama, that part of the life is not a permanent part of the life, or that is not the result is not a permanent actually. That results is always a temporarily results. So any planet they can attain. The Grahamedi can attain any planet after his dharmic activities, but they all will destroy at one day. It means he put his so much efforts on artha and kama, but that has no value one day, and everything will become annihilated, everything will become spoiled. Why? Because nothing is permanent, everything is temporarily. So a person can ask this question to self. Actually, bhakti is the self-assessment process. We don't need to wait that somebody else will come in our life and he will correct us. Bhakti is the self-assessment in the sense, once you associate with the devotees, once you hear from the Guru and Parampara, and then you do the analyze by yourself that what dharma I am following, what kind of religious activity, what kind of spiritual activity I am performing, and what is the results is coming out of it. So we are performing three kind of activities actually. Every living entity are performing three kind of activities. And what are those three kind of activities? Everybody is following some kind of dharma. Everybody is following some kind of rituals. Everybody is following some kind of religious activities. The first kind of activity that a person is following to fulfill the necessities of this body. For that, he will do some work. And the activity that we are performing to fulfill the bodily necessities are temporarily in nature. But at the same time, we do not perform such kind of activity. That activity is related to satisfaction of the soul. We are running behind something to fulfill our bodily need, but we are not running behind to fulfill the necessities of the soul. In this current situation of our life, in which I am right now, this is the third activity. First, we'll do something for the bodily demands. Second, we do not do anything for the satisfaction of the soul. We are not even running behind. We are not even inquiring that how the soul can be satisfied. And the third, in which phase of my life I am at present. I'll do some kind of activity to fulfill the necessities of that particular situation or that particular body in which I am at present. So that is what is happening in today's time. But bhakti is beyond and above than this type of dharmic activity. When we speak about the bhakti, bhakti means it is the complete self-realization, and which is above than this karma kanda section, which is above than this dharmic activities. Until or unless a person will not uplift himself above than this kind of dharmic activities, he cannot understand what really bhakti is. Then, what is the definition of a bhakti? The definition of the bhakti is to perform our nitya dharma or to perform our swadharma with the detachment. So when a person who perform his nitya dharma, his own swadharma with the detachment, he get three beautiful things as a result out of it. And what are those four things he will get it? The first thing is he'll become peaceful. Why people are not peaceful in this today's time? Because they don't understand what is their own dharma. They are running behind something which is known as a conditional dharma related to this body. They are not doing anything which is related to the soul. So that's why the reason they are not peaceful. Second thing, those people are following such kind of dharmic activities to increase their artha and kama. They are not in the pure in their consciousness. Because when a person who is completely pure in his consciousness, he will understand that I am not the proprietor. There is someone who is superior than me, and I have been organized by that person only to make him happy. And the third thing is without the sense of proprietorship. Just now we discussed it. And the last is without the egoism. Whatever activity we'll do, we are not peaceful. We are not in the pure in the consciousness of that particular act. And because our consciousness is not pure, so we have this tendency of becoming a proprietor. And when we try to become the proprietor of the things, this egoism comes in us. In our previous I think two or three shloka before, nirmama or aham mama iti, these two beautiful words has been used. Nirmama means nir ahankara. There is no ahankara, there is no I and me, but aham mama iti, it means me and I. These beautiful terms Lord Kapila is explaining here. When you do your swadharma with the detachment, there is a nirmama, there is no ahankara in that. Why? Because we know that Krishna is the proprietor. And when we think aham mam iti, that I am the proprietor, then the problem starts actually. And the person, when we come into this situation or when we come to this type of conclusion, then always our mind is not peaceful. We are always lands up into the miserable conditions. So in today's shloka, beautifully, so this is what we have studied till now, and we'll come to the today's shloka now. Now, in today's time or in this today's modern age, people accepts that matter is the cause of everything. Everything comes from the matter. This is what today's philosophy, what we see, what people believe actually. They can't see the spiritual reality. And why people cannot see the spiritual reality? Because they are so much influenced by this material entanglement that they are not even interested to know what is the spiritual reality. They say the life comes out of matter, that our life, what we are living, is coming out of matter. But Srila Prabhupada has a completely different opinion, and Srila Prabhupada condemned such type of philosophy. Srila Prabhupada always talk about two things. Srila Prabhupada says, first thing, life comes from life. Life comes from life. And second thing, Srila Prabhupada always talk about the substance. Prabhupada never says nothing like matter. Prabhupada never discussed about matter. He always says substance. We can how do we understand about the substance? Substance means someone's own nature. Everybody, we all have our own different nature. All the living entity, they have their different nature. No one is same, no one is similar. So once their nature is different, their individual personality is also different. So when individual personalities is different, then their activities are different. So none of them are on the same platform. So by this we can understand that I am not the cause of everything. There is someone who is the cause of all this. So the cause behind everything is the superior energy. That is what Srila Prabhupada says. That I am not the proprietor, I am not the enjoyer, I am not the creator. I have been created for the upliftment of our contaminated consciousness and to go to the eternal abode where the Lord is residing. So the cause behind everything is the superior energy, and which is caused by that is the inferior energy. So Lord Kapila is explaining very nicely here that we are dependent on that superior energy, and that position we have to accept. One should learn this art of harmonize with that supreme personality of Godhead. If we do not know the art of harmonize with that supreme energy or that superior energy, that is actually the relationship with the Supreme Lord, is known as the science of bhakti. Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma says, Ishvara Paramah Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So when a person who understands this, that I am not the cause of anything, but I have been caused by that superior energy, that is that we are in the state of pratikarmani. We are completely dependent on someone. We are nothing in front of that. How many of us have experienced one thing, that whenever we are traveling, whenever we are sitting in a public place, or whenever we are in some crowded place or somewhere, and all of a sudden some music starts. So that music sometime, which is not harmonizing, or we are not harmonizing with that music looks very unpleasant. The music looks very disturbing, very distracting our mind. But at the same time, when we are in the association of the devotees, and when we are hearing any kirtana, or when we are hearing even a Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita classes, so that sound vibration, that harmonize us with that superior energy or with that supreme personality of Godhead, it becomes pleasant. It gives us peace. It gives us some nice experience. So the art of relationship with the Supreme Lord, if we are not harmonized with Him, then our life is miserable. And if we are harmonized, or if we are trying to re-establish our relationship with that Supreme Lord, then our life will become more peaceful. So if one knows this truth, that Krishna is the supreme energy, that means our life is peaceful. But at the same time, if we don't know this, then the life is more miserable. So how can we synchronize ourselves with that Supreme Lord? One can synchronize with the Supreme Lord by his thought and by his words. These are the two ways we can get synchronized with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when we do that, then the life is peaceful. The life is peaceful, life has become very sweet. But at the same time, when we don't synchronize ourselves with the Supreme Lord, then the life will become miserable. Anxiety, bewilderment, it comes in our life. So why does it happen actually like that? In today's modern time, we are ready to synchronize with something which gives us instant pleasure, or which gives us something. I think someone typed one message.
Important, Prabhu. Nothing. That is for to rename a devotee. Please continue. I'll take care.
So, when we are not synchronized with the Supreme Authority, then happens the life is completely into anxiety. Our life is full of miseries. Our life is full of sufferings. Our life is full of distractions are there in the life from the goal of our life. But someone can ask a question then, how to tune in with Krishna? We said just now we have to try to synchronize with Krishna, or we have to synchronize with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then what is the way? Prabhupada has given us such a beautiful way that we don't need to research anything. We don't need to run behind to clear the philosophical doubt and all. What Prabhupada has given, just we have to try to follow that path. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 34 verse, Man manabhav mad bhakto madhyaji manamaskuru mame vaishesi yuktanam atmanam matparayana. So Prabhupada is writing, you don't need to do any kind of research. You just follow what Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, and you will tune in with Krishna. You will synchronize with Krishna, with your words, with your thoughts. And Krishna says, you engage your mind always in thoughts of me and thinking about me. Offer your obeisances unto me. Worship me. And if you do this, definitely you'll come back to me. So Krishna here not making us in kind of any delusion. Krishna is not keeping us in kind of any kind of bewilderment. Krishna is clearly instructing here that if you want to tune up with me, you have to engage your mind, engage your senses in my services. And in this way, definitely you'll come back to me. But we don't need to run behind to find out the way. Just we have to follow the teaching of our previous acharyas. Krishna says very clearly here. So someone can ask a question also now, that you said we can tune up with Krishna by manmanabhav madbhakto. But how to engage that mind in the service of Krishna, that also Prabhupada is writing. Krishna says, follow my teachings or follow the teaching of my representatives. When we hear from our previous acharyas, when we hear from our guru, when we hear from the Guru Parampara, then gradually we'll reach up to that process. That process will help us to bring us from the darkness to the illumination. Just like there is a dark night. After that dark night, the sun arises in the morning and the things become visible. And what is the darkness? The darkness is contamination. The darkness is ignorance. Ignorance of what? The bodily conception. So when we follow the path of bhakti, we learn this art of re-establishing our relationship with the Supreme Lord. Then we are on the path of illumination. And that will lead our life to the perfection of the life. So everything is there. Just we need to follow the teaching of our previous acharyas. Just we need to follow the teaching of Srila Prabhupada. And it's a perfect formula Srila Prabhupada gives in Bhagavad Gita, and Lord Krishna explains 5.29. And he says, Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram suharda sarva bhutanam gyatva mam shanti mrichati. You just know this truth. This is the success. This is the formula of the success of the living entity in this Kali Yuga. Don't try to think that you are the proprietor. Don't try to think that you are the creator. And don't try to think that whatever is happening around me, I am the cause behind it. And if we do that, life is perfect. Life is successful. And this is a perfect formula. So how one can understand this absolute truth? One can understand this absolute truth only when we associate with the devotees, when we associate with the Guru Parampara, when we associate with the teaching of our previous acharyas. And if we don't do that, life is full of miseries. There is no peace in the life. There are always anxiety. There are always bewilderment. And why it happens like that? Why people land up into such kind of situation? Because of their 4 defects. Everybody has that 4 defects. And because of that 4 defects, we cannot see something which is pure in the nature. So we have to accept the truth by accepting the teaching of Srila Prabhupada. We have to accept the truth by accepting the teaching of the Supreme Authority, that is none other than Krishna himself. So in the purport, beautifully Prabhupada is explaining Surya Dwarena, the path of illumination. And what is the path of illumination? The path of bhakti is the path of illumination. And what is the path of degradation? The path of sense enjoyment is the path of degradation, the path of darkness. So in the Vedas also, it has been mentioned that we should not accept the path of darkness. If we accept the path of darkness, that will take us to degrade our life and to enjoy the life by following some kind of activities and to entangle into the death and birth cycle again and again. But if some person who accept the path of bhakti, gradually what happens? If there is a dust on the mirror, the dust will clean up gradually when we try to clean that mirror. So we have to try to clean our heart by performing the pure, loving devotional service. And in this way, the person who fixes his consciousness in Krishna, his mind will become peaceful. And the person who has the peaceful mind, he always feels that happiness, not for the body. He feels that happiness too for the satisfaction of Krishna. Purusham Vishwato Mukham. We have to understand that I am not the proprietor. As we just now we understood by 5.29, Krishna is the proprietor and I am just the puppet of Krishna. I have got this one life and I have to make this life perfect. Krishna is the supreme authority and I'm just a part and parcel of Krishna. So in our Vedas, in our scriptures has been mentioned that Krishna is the source of everything. Krishna is the source of this material world as well as Krishna is the source of spiritual world. When Lord glanced on the matter, it became active. And that energy is also the Lord's energy. That is the energy of the Lord. That energy also, it doesn't work until or unless Lord doesn't glance on it. And what we think is that I am the superior energy and remaining all the inferior energies. I am the supreme and remaining all are very insignificant in front of me. And in this way, we forget our own identity actually. So if we conclude our today's shloka in a very understanding way, that comes to so many important points, and these important points are: we have to understand the art of work in relation to the supreme authority, for not our harmonized, or not for our own sense enjoyment or for this body. We have to harmonize with that supreme authority for his own pleasure, for his own love. And if we do that, then the life become peaceful, the life become sweet. Otherwise, our life is always full of miseries, full of difficulties. Actually, we always discuss, Srila Prabhupada says that when we are following the path of bhakti, we have to try to come out of the cycle of death and birth. So how a person can come out of the cycle of death and birth? If a person has to come out of the cycle of death and birth, then first he has to come out of the cycle of karma bandhana. If a person cannot come out of the karma bandhana, whatever action we perform, we are bound in that karma. Whatever activity we do, that binds us in that particular karma. And in this way, we see, to get out of the death and birth cycle, first we have to understand that karma knocks each and everyone's door. Whatever activity we perform, whether we are in illusion, where we are in the path of bhakti, where those activities are taking us finally, that we have to understand, and that is the process of karma. So the grahamedi, the grasta, the devotee or the non-devotee, they perform so many various activities. Some of them, they perform the activities to satisfy their body. Some of them, they perform these activities to satisfy the soul. So we have to understand the process of karma. And the moment we understood the process of karma and we started implementing it in our personal life, we criticize the people, we speak so many things about the other people, we do not inquire the spiritual reality. We are running behind to get a name, fame, artha, to fulfill the artha and kama. And in this way, we are again and again entangled into the cycle of karma bandhana. So, in my opinion, what I feel is that, and I try to apply this in my practical life also, that whatever activity we do, whatever action we performs, that bind us in a new karma. So we do not have to be the part of karma bandhana. If we really want to understand Bhagavad Gita, if a person really want to understand Bhagavatam, then he has to understand the karma bandhana. Why Krishna is constantly talking about the sense enjoyment, the path of bhakti, the illumination, what is the path of illumination, why we have to re-establish our relationship with the Krishna? Because this karma bandhana will not make us happy. If you want to be happy permanently, then the secret formula Krishna has given, 5.29, understand the truth. And if we don't understand the truth, we'll be in the part of karma bandhana. And when I understand, oh, Krishna is the cause of everything, he is the proprietor, he is the creator, and one day he will destroy everything, then for what I am running behind? I have to understand my task, I have to understand my activity, I have to understand my karma. And whatever work that I do, I have to do it in such a way that will be in detachment, but attachment to the Krishna. And when person performs such type of activities, then we understand that person can freed from the process of karma bandhana. Until or unless person cannot free from the karma bandhana, We will be intently engaged in that part. So now someone can say that if someone say bad words to me, what I will do that time? I have to defeat, I have to protect myself. If someone is unnecessarily saying something to me, then also Prabhupada and Krishna is explaining, if someone says some bad words to me, and if I don't react, that karma is with that person only. That won't reach to me. But if someone says to me, and on the against of that, if I just say one word, that one word itself enough for me to bound into the karma bandhana, and the new karma will start from that word itself. So understanding karma is one of the beauty of Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavad Gita, what I feel is. So we should not run behind how to free from death and birth cycle. We have to run behind how to free from this karma bandhana. And the moment we understood this point, automatically Bhagavatam will enter in our heart and we'll follow the path of illumination, we'll follow the path of bhakti. And that is the beauty of Srila Prabhupada's teaching. Srila Prabhupada always focused on these things, that accept that we are nothing. And what we are thinking? Aham amam iti. I and me and my. So we have to give up this tendency, nirmama, nir ahankara, without the false ego. And we have to understand and we have to accept that I am just a servant of Krishna. And Krishna is the supreme authority. So when we do something for Krishna, there is no karma bandhana. And when we do something for our own pleasure, then there is all the karma bandhana. So to freed from karma bandhana is the very, very important, then to freed from the death and birth cycle. So that is what we have understood in our today's shloka. So we'll conclude here our today's class. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna. So I request our all the senior devotees now, those are presented here. His Grace Shivguna Krishna Prabhu and Sudarshan Vasudev Prabhu, that if they want to add Manibhushan Prabhuji, or if want to correct me, they can correct me if I have said something which is not appropriate with this today's verse. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Kandat Pranams.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for your wonderful explanation, especially stressing on this karma bandhana. Because Bhagavad Gita, the foundation is karma and reincarnation, two things.
Yes.
Because of this karma, you get the other birth. These are the two foundation of this whole Bhagavad Gita is karma and reincarnation. So we keep on taking birth, birth after birth in this material world because of karma bandhana. And if you want to stop, as you said, Yajnata karmana lokoyam karma bandhana. If you are to perform the activities for the pleasure of the Lord, then only we will be released from this entanglement of the chain of action and reaction. So that's a very important point highlighted. And how to come out also explained is that why we should synchronize our thoughts and words with the Supreme. So we understand that how we synchronize our thoughts is like we always think about the Lord. How we will synchronize the words is by speaking about the Lord's Leela, by speaking about the Lord's Vani, and something related to the Lord when we speak. I think then our words also get synchronized with the Lord's. Yes. So like that, everything, if we are able to connect to the Lord, whatever activities we do, karmana manasa vacha.
Yes.
Thought, word, and action. One is from mental, one is action, right? Action. So all those things, if we are able to synchronize, that is the art of working, art of living, we can say. Yes. Karmana manasa vacha. Able to dovetail all our desires and propensities with the service of the Lord. Wonderfully explained, Prabhu. I think this is a very straightforward verse. There is no complication in this verse. It's like giving the basic understanding. Some Bhagavatam verses are very complicated. We will not be able to understand the verses. No, it is very difficult. Even Srila Prabhupada is explaining about the Bhagavatam explains about time factor. It's not very easy to understand. So many complex things are involved. But here I think Prabhupada has written very clearly, illuminated path, Surya Dvarena, and also how the Lord is the only one who is actually maintaining everybody, who is all perfect. And he's a proprietor of all this one, which we read from Bhagavad Gita also, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu, the supreme cause. And the material nature is actually the ingredient. And again, Srila Prabhupada is stressing that the life is not coming from the matter. So that is a basic understanding. Even if you are scientific, no scientist can answer this question that life comes from matter. It's not proved. So again and again, Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing the point that life comes from life, and the supreme life is Sri Krishna himself, Sarva Karana Karana. So it's a very kind of basic purport we can say, where we are beginning the Krishna consciousness foundation principles that has been explained here. And thank you for wonderfully explaining this with so many examples and your own practical experiences, and how you are able to practice and apply these teachings in your life. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. And we request devotees to unmute, and any questions, comments, clarifications, or additional points you would like to share related to today's verse of discussion, you are more than welcome to do so. Hare Krishna. Darshan Vasudev, Prabhu.
Krishna, Nanda Pranam, Chaitanya Prabhu,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Shivana Prabhu, Manibhushan Prabhu, and all assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavas. Many senior devotees are there here today. Very happy to see. I think Prabhu, I want to say that humility is the basis. So be humble, and surrender is the process. So be humble, do surrender.
Yes.
Then everything will come in place, and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Nanda Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
There is Prabhuji already, just my realization, Prabhuji already explained this karma bandhana. So how we can, that's also Prabhu give the solution also. So that is, we need the Krishna consciousness, the consciousness. That is, we get only from devotional service. So Anukulasya Sankalpa Pratikulasya Vartanam. So we have to accept that principle. Whatever be favorable for the devotional service, we have to keep in, and whatever it is unfavorable, have to left it. That is the only way to do the karma, the solution for this karma bandhana. We have to put back to Godhead. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Manibhushan Krishna Prabhu, anything you want to say?
Thank you, Kanakanga Prabhu. Very nice class. And Prabhuji is leaving for vacation this Tuesday. So we will pray for his safe journey and his successful trip. And also for today's class, we have to thank Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu is also enrolling for Bhakti Vaibhav. Prabhu's Bhakti Shastri is going to end within some days, and Prabhu will be enrolling for Bhakti Vaibhav online.
Oh, very good. Very good. So we'll all thank Prabhuji by chanting 3 times Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Devotees, may I know who has joined us? iPhone.
Nagu, Prabhuji.